If you're an entrepreneur, there's about a 72% chance you'll deal with mental health issues at some point, roughly 1.5 times higher than everyone else. And the problem is, it's not just about you feeling miserable. It spills over into your business and into your personal life. But there is a way to reduce that risk quite significantly. A system that helps you handle the pressure better and, more importantly, creates some distance between you and what's happening in your business. So in this video, I'll walk you through that system and how to actually apply it. So, what is this system that works so well, yet almost nobody uses? Most people start a business because they see an opportunity. There's a gap in the market. Something looks promising and they jump in. But running a business is extremely demanding. And when you combine that with the fact that around half the businesses fail within 5 years, it becomes pretty clear that a lot of those opportunities are misjudged. What the system does is help you step back and evaluate that properly. Is this actually something you should be doing? It doesn't remove the risk, that's always there, but it gives you a much clearer understanding of what you're walking into. I've started a lot of companies over the years, most of them because the opportunity was there. And I've done it both ways. Sometimes I applied this system, sometimes I didn't. And the difference was very noticeable. At this point, I don't start anything without running this first. The first step of the system is simple, but it's deeper than it sounds. Ask yourself, why do I actually want to start this business? Most people stop at something like, I want to make more money. And that's completely understandable, but that's not really an answer. You need to go one step further. What do you actually need that money for? Be specific. Is it a certain lifestyle? What does that look like? Because while everyone says they want more money, very few people ever define what that actually means for them. And that becomes a problem. If you're about to take on something that has a very high chance of failing, that will definitely bring stress, long hours, pressure, you need a very clear reason why you're willing to go through all that. Otherwise, at some point, you'll just stop. You won't have enough to push through when things get difficult. And they will. And that's how a lot of businesses quietly die after a few years, after you've already invested a huge amount of time, energy, and possibly money. Once you sit with the question why, a surprising number of opportunities just stop making sense. Once that's clear, you move on to step two. Define success in numbers. Now that you know what you need the money for, you need to quantify it. Is it 100K, 1 million, perhaps even more? Because different targets come with very different trade-offs. Getting to 100K is hard, but it's still relatively achievable. You can often do that within your own market without completely overhauling your life. Getting to 1 million is a different level. It usually means more complexity, more pressure, and often even expanding beyond your domestic market. And if your goal is significantly higher than that, you have to be honest with yourself. It will likely take over your entire life. At this point, you have two important things. You know why you want to do this, and you know what success actually looks like to you. Now comes step three, your life priority stack. This is where things get real. Write down the main areas of your life: business, family, health, freedom, stability, hobbies, whatever applies to you. Then rank them and be honest. You might realize that business isn't actually number one. Maybe family is, or health, or maybe business genuinely is your top priority right now. There's no right or wrong answer, but you need to see it clearly. Step four is where everything connects. For each of those areas, ask yourself two questions. What is the worst realistic outcome here? And how would I deal with it if it happened? This forces you to look at what you're actually putting at risk and pay close attention to anything that ranked above business on your priority list. Because what most people realize at this stage is that things like health and relationships are very easy to damage and very hard to recover. Now, think of this in simple terms. On one axis, you have your level of ambition. On the other axis, you have the level of risk you're taking on, but not just financial risk to your life as a whole. Making 100K, That usually doesn't put your entire life under pressure. But if you're chasing extreme levels of success, well, that often does. So let's say health is your number one priority, but your definition of success in this new business is something like 100 million. If you go back and look at your answers under health, it becomes pretty obvious. Those two things don't really match. You're not actually willing to sacrifice your health to that extent. And that's before even considering the fact that outcomes in business are never guaranteed. In reality, the probability of reaching that level of success is quite low. At this point, you should have a much clearer picture. Is this opportunity actually for you? Does it offer enough upside? Does it match your definition of success? And are you genuinely willing to accept the risks that come with it? If the answer is yes, then go for it. At least now you're doing it with open eyes. And if not, then it's better to realize that early and spare yourself. Or adjust something, either your definition of success or your priorities. But understand that both of those have consequences. Changing your priorities changes your life. And changing your definition of success can completely reshape how you planned to take on this business opportunity, and often into something that doesn't even work in the real marketplace. And there's one more piece that most people completely overlook. It's called identity fusion, and it plays a huge role in how founders experience stress. So, watch this next. It'll connect everything you've just seen.